This is a Hat Trick
podcast.
Oh, lovely.
Hello and welcome to In the News This Week, the podcast from some of the team behind Have I Got News For You, where we take you through our pick of the news this week when the TV show can't.
We'll be looking at both the serious and not so serious news items and trying to convince each other which story we think would have been perfect for the show if it was on air.
Which it isn't.
But let's introduce ourselves anyway.
I'm Jack Harris, a sometimes producer on the show.
I'm Emerald Paston. I write on Have I Got News For You?
I'm Mike Rayment, series producer.
And I'm Queenie Miller. I'm the picture researcher for the show, which is obviously essential for a podcast.
Perfect, yeah, exactly what we need. So, we're here in the glamorous basement of Hat Trick Productions HQ. They've obviously done what they do with the show, which is bring glamour and amazing set design.
If anything, they've gone over.
They have. It's over budget, isn't it?
Yeah.
You'll be able to hear the water pipes above us sporadically. Obviously, the most professional way to make a podcast.
Why are we doing that? We are unqualified.
In no way are we unqualified. The most qualified. But we're going to bring you this podcast weekly until the new TV series starts in October.
And what a week for the show not to be on.
I think, everyone always has a very strong opinions about the politics of the show, the politics of the people who work on it, as we've seen from when people send us angry emails.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important to establish from the top that we have a absolute contempt and disrespect for all politicians and political parties and institutions.
Across the board.
That's the great thing about the show. Ian and Paul, they've seen Thatcher, Major, Blair, Brown, Cameron, and the current shower.
You sounded really confused.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's good to be here with you all.
So how are we going to do it? Just like the TV show, in round one, we'll discuss the big topic of the moment that everyone's talking about. Then in round two, we'll each bring our favourite, lesser-known story from the week that you may not have heard, but is very much worth knowing. And at the end, we'll vote on whose story we think would be best for the show.
It's going to get cutthroat.
So without further ado, let's get into round one. And let's be honest, the big story picks itself. This week has seen the dawn of a new era with a seismic shift in power as a crack new team takes pole position on the political stage. But enough about us starting a podcast.
Way.
Yes. There's also been a general election. What stories were we talking about with Keir Starmer's first week in number 10?
My thoughts immediately go to a game or a graphic that you could use to get the team into it. My title so far is Keep a Keir Head, but basically we see Keir Starmer's head and then we see inside it and then there's the various topics that he's going to be stressed about.
Nice, yeah. What's in his intro?
Yeah,
exactly.
This is an editing job for Dave.
Right.
And Dave, being such an amazing graphics guy, how often we would send back his graphics.
Be like, that's not shit enough.
To
make it worse.
Yeah, it's quite an art form making it look like you don't care.
Yeah.
So what will be in the quiz?
A picture for NATO. I don't know how you represent that.
Yeah.
A picture for prisons.
Nice.
And the fact that...
So Tory MP.
Yeah, Tory MP. I guess housing. Great about Andrew Reid.
Yeah.
There's so much that must be on his mind, so I kind of would like to see a graphical representation of it.
I think the cabinet ministerial appointments would be something we'd cover.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that it was quite interesting that Mr. Timpson is prisons guy.
James Timpson is, of course, the owner of the Timpson's shops.
Get your key cut, get your shoes done.
The Timpson's one's funny, though, because he's an interesting guy, and, there's, quite serious clips about him and stuff, and him kind of talking about evidence-based reform. But the detail that I really liked is that if you work at Timpson's, you get a day off on your birthday.
Great.
Excellent perk.
You don't have to call in sick.
Yeah. And also, right, you can use the company limousine on your wedding day.
Do they have one limousine?
This is weird, isn't it, right? What is the limousine? Why does Timpson's have a limousine, for one thing? A company limousine
So
seems
people can use
dodgy.
it when they get married?
Yeah.
They're a great company. The other thing they do is if you're unemployed, they'll dry clean your suit for free for a job interview, which is great for a lot of Tory MPs. You can't just take in a bag of pants. Unless you can justify why you'd be wearing it to a job interview.
Yeah. How do they know I'm not going for some kind of Magic Mike style audition?
Because they've taken one look at you.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, that's just mean.
Brutal but true. But true.
And he employs, I think they say 10% of their workforce is former offenders. Ex-offenders.
And obviously Rayner is first minister to...
First ginger.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, Dowden.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They actually just switched positions.
True, yeah.
Back-to-back ginger deputy PM.
Yeah.
Maybe just to clarify for listeners.
I am ginger.
Jack is ginger.
Hair of chestnut, flaming beard was what a child once told me.
Is that Ed Sheeran there?
I used to be a teacher, not just randomly talking to children.
Oh, okay. It sounds like a sort of riddle or something from Game of Thrones.
Was the child a ghost of a Victorian
Yeah, I
boy?
taught in ancient Egypt. And it was one of the Sphinx. Very difficult, actually, characters. But Big up.
Angela Rayner's the first housing minister that's lived in council housing, I think.
What was the most significant appointment to Starmer's government? And obviously the answer to that is Larry the Cat. Because Larry the Cat is the first Downing Street mouser to have served under 6 prime ministers.
Wow. I'm sick of Larry the Cat.
I love him.
Oh, it's so annoying.
I can't believe you're anti-Larry the Cat.
Oh, everyone talks about Larry the Cat.
I'll carry on with my Larry the Cat facts.
Please,
Previous
Just for
holder,
Mike.
right, was Peter III, which I love they called a cat Peter already. Shows you whoever was in power at that time.
Oh, no, it happened to Peter the first and the second.
Well, second was run over
yes.
in Whitehall. So that's why I placed it. But
That's amazing.
he served under 5 prime ministers. So Larry the Cat. So technically, most important appointment, I reckon.
Do you think there'd be a question for the panel, seeing as James Timpson is now the prisons minister, which other non-politicians they'd like to see in the cabinet?
Nice. Yeah, that's
Could that be
good.
a fair question for them?
One that everyone's thought about, I think. Martin Lewis, money-saving expert as Chancellor. That's what everyone goes
I think you
to.
overstated that. When you say everyone.
That's what I think about day and night.
So I've written down housing, Dion Dublin.
Nice.
Yeah.
I
fair.
was going along with the high street shops theme, and I think if there is a Claire of Claire's Accessories, she should be in there as youth minister because
okay.
she's got so many
Personally.
girls through, like having bright red ears while walking around a shopping centre. She can really do good things for the youth.
Instantly has a connection.
Right?
Yeah, so true. I quite like already that it's Telegraph headline saying, "Is James Timpson the most dangerous man in Britain?" No,
I love
obviously
the
not.
Telegraph
But-
just missing the point
I don't know.
always.
I mean,
He
there's
can literally unlock any door.
he could genuinely let out all the criminals.
And he can come in your house at night. Well, it's like a thing to take eat your greens, or James Timpson will come in the house. I think
Lock you in your bedroom.
yeah, I think the Telegraph
I
runs
take
something
it
out.
back. You've convinced me, Mike. I think he is the most dangerous man in Britain, and we should be looking out for him because no one's safe. He could be coming into this place right now, letting himself in. I don't trust a man with a limousine.
He
to be
only
honest.
does it on his day off on his birthday.
One of the things to bring up about the kind of new government is that they're calling Starmer's goats. So it's a government of all the talents, which is quite funny. Goat, is a very American style government, greatest of all time style thing.
Thanks for clarifying that.
No, the reason I bring it up is because Richard Wilson, our exec, a man of many talents,
Legend.
big fan.
I've been told to say looks like the guy from Up, which I do agree with, but I think that it's quite a mainstream reference. He looks like every old woman.
That's his WhatsApp picture. It's the
It
guy
is.
from
Yeah.
Up. So he's well aware and happy to own it. So outside his office for years and years, as almost as long as the show's been running, there's what's called the wall of Richard Wilson. So it's anytime, as Queen said, like the guy from Up, basically
he's
Christine
my
Lagarde,
Philip Schofield's mum.
That was mine. I'm so proud of it.
And not Richard Wilson from One Foot in the Grave, which when I first came to interview for the show, I typed in, "Have I got news for you, Richard Wilson?" And it came up with an episode of the guy from One Foot in the
and
Grave.
you thought he was the exec
I was
producer.
like, this
of
guy
Oh
is
My God.
multi-talented. Man.
Yeah.
He hates Americanisms. So I can just imagine him getting incredibly riled up at the idea of goats, And I like to think, well, what other animals, the question you'd ask is, what other animals would you compare previous cabinets to? So it would be Liz Truss's cabinet of...
What's that fly that only lives for
Mayfly.
20
Truss's cabinet of
Mayflies.
mayflies.
Yeah.
Something that got brought up, something else that kind of we would cover in round one as a story. So we've sort of talked a little bit about Keir Starmer, his cabinet and all that sort of stuff, is the now new opposition. So we're talking about the Tories taking up opposition, who, very quickly at the weekend were quick to say, look, we're not going to be infighting, can't start pointing fingers. Literally 2 days later, Kemi Badenoch absolutely bawling out Rishi Sunak, calling his cabinet, or what was his name, Craig Williams, is that the name of the guy?
Yeah.
Calling him a moron, I think it was. Something along those lines.
Fairly justified.
Yeah, about
First
the
time I've
betting
ever
scandal.
agreed with Kevin
Yeah.
Badenoch.
But she literally just listed off all of this stuff about how it was an absolute disaster, unconstitutional to call an early election. I think she just said Rishi Sunak has got a weird face or something like that. Something equally as terrible as that. Right? Kept on putting in all these things. It was put out in the Times, all of this. And at the end, she said, none of our conversations should be leaked. And obviously, she's leaked it herself. I think it's amazing that
Said
they're
an
already...
anonymous source.
Yeah. Also said Braverman had a very public, nervous breakdown, which is amazing. It's like leadership
This
contender.
is why I'm sad the Tories are going to be less in the limelight. Because this is so amazing to talk about and to see.
It is fun.
Well, it's still there as like it's like an amuse-bouche, isn't it?
Yeah,
Until Labour, they're relatively squeaky clean. No one really knows who they are. What's great is it doesn't matter what political side you're on. There's going to be some wrong-uns in there. They're going to make mistakes. There's the hypocrisy.
They'll eat themselves over something. That's the thing. Isn't it? It's quite exciting to see.
That does make me feel better.
So we've covered Labour and the Tories, but obviously there's a few new faces in Parliament as well. Biggest names, obviously, the Reform lads. Exciting.
The Reform Five.
Really?
So they call themselves that?
That's how I've seen them referred to, yeah.
You see what they said when they were coming to Parliament?
Yeah.
They wanted to come in like a scene from Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, yeah, right.
Who lets these people talk?
But also an amazing...
Yeah.
I love it because, right, they all, what they've got in mind is looking really cool with sunglasses. Reservoir Dogs is... Everyone dies in that film. Everyone backstabs each other.
Yeah.
One guy just fucks off at the end with all the money, right? And someone gets their ear cut off.
Yeah.
Well, that
Okay,
was
we
the
need to
thing.
watch this really closely and
What,
see if that
Reservoir
happens.
Dogs?
Yeah.
Well,
It literally
No,
everyone does.
I'm aware the film does, but if
Okay.
that happens with
But that was the thing I thought they meant when he said we want it. It's going to be like a scene from Reservoir Dogs. I thought it meant because as soon as Farage opens his mouth, everyone just wants to cut off their own ears so they don't have to listen to it.
And obviously there was a bit of controversy around AI candidates. Initially people saying that it wasn't true, or there were candidates standing that weren't real people.
I never believed
of
that
course.
because it's artificial intelligence.
You just got to make him point out a traffic light, and then we'll know if he's AI or not. Also, we should mention for balance because everyone loves balance. We should mention the Greens.
Oh,
Yeah.
Time for round two.
So welcome back from the ad break. Proof there that like our Instagram and Twitter accounts, the BBC is not in any way associated with this podcast because they wouldn't let us advertise. I'm assuming Timpson's probably was the advert that we just heard.
Oh, imagine if the second episode we film it in the Timpsons limo.
I don't want to go in that limo. I think it's going to be absolutely filthy.
Yeah.
Why would you?
Wedding night limo?
Hang on, who said it was a wedding? It's to take them to the wedding.
I'm assuming it's
What?
giving
What?
you
Yeah.
travel for the whole day. Anyway, we're getting distracted.
That's not how weddings work.
Yeah.
was whole
What?
round
You
one.
don't get married in the car. The whole wedding
You
doesn't
don't
take
spend
place in the
And
limousine.
you definitely don't spend your wedding night in the car.
Well, that's where I've been going wrong.
Unless you're then bit opaque.
That's why I've been divorced 7 times. It's now time for us to go head to head, putting forward our favourite stories in the news this week in what we would normally do with round 2. And in the end, we're going to vote on the story that would be best to go into the show. So we don't know what each other has brought. So I'm going to ask Emerald, do you want to go first and tell us what story you would put forward for round 2?
Sure. So my story, it's slightly old news, but it's been made more relevant by a Keir Starmer story. So basically, Keir and his family should soon be receiving an invite from King Charles to spend a few days with the royals at Balmoral.
Okay.
Oh my God, I can't even say it. I should have practiced this.
Balmoral. That is how you have to pronounce it when you announce it.
Balmoral. Basically, all the prime ministers get invited there.
Right.
But it reminded me of this story from just a bit earlier in the summer. King Charles has opened up Balmoral Castle for public tours for the first time. He said that he wants to make royal properties more accessible to the public, and so he's charging £100 to £150.
Classic Charlie.
Exactly right. He's going to rake in around £140,000.
He needs
Just for him. Yeah.
Just him. Yeah.
So that
Just him.
Andrew lawsuit isn't going to pay
Yeah.
for it. So they're still paying it off. Yeah.
But on the back of this, basically, I was reading up on what the tour involves, and it all sounds a bit macabre.
Right.
So I have a little game for you, which maybe we could play on the show
Yeah,
if
great.
we were doing the show.
great.
You need to guess, is this a fact about the Balmoral tour, or is it a fact about the Creepy Hollow haunted house experience in Texas?
I'm in love with this game.
So the first fact is it's nicknamed the Barn of 1,000 Drafts. Is that Balmoral, or is that the Creepy Hollow haunted house experience in Texas?
1,000 drafts. I think that's going to be something really lame about some kind of bill that a royal wrote.
I think it's something
Yeah.
kind of quippy someone royal would
Or
think.
is someone like, oh, it's windy.
Yeah.
The Queen,
It's a bit-
the Queen
bit
going
chilly
around
in here.
with 1,000 snake draft excluders.
Balmoral.
Golden
You're right.
drafts.
It's
Oh, it is?
Balmoral. It's
Excellent.
Edward VII called it that. Apparently, it's very drafty. Okay, so
Hey, Connor, hold on just 2 seconds. That is terrible. What? Because it's drafty. It's 1,000 drafts.
1,000 drafts. I guess it's got a lot of
Get
rooms.
off your high horse.
It's very
Was it
dramatic.
Edward? Was it
Edward the
Yeah,
Seventh.
get off your high horse, Edward.
Okay, which place does this apply to? It's open to all ages.
I really hope it's the Texas.
It's got to be Texas.
It's Texas, yes. The article I read described the Balmoral tour as an adult-only experience.
Wow, kinky.
So many jokes I can make right now that couldn't be cleared by legal.
Okay, next fact. Which place does this apply to? Where can you discover signs of 19th century lovers?
I'm going to say both.
I want it just to be the Texas thing, because that's not what that's for.
Is it where every royal has been conceived?
Ooh.
The room where they have like a
don't have to-
conceiving room.
Well, the article I read did say that you could discover signs of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert's love story. So that is maybe why it is an adult-only
Yeah,
experience.
Yeah.
What's the sign? It's like a handprint, like at the Titanic.
This is why. Do they give you a black light? Do they send you into the room? I don't know.
I'd maybe actually go on the tour now.
I'm selling it to you.
Yeah, the Prince Albert room, obviously.
That's something else.
There's some niche equipment in there, but
Yeah.
Okay, in which place can you not wear flip-flops or sandals?
oh, definitely Balmoral. I reckon.
That's just Scotland in general.
No, it's the Creepy Hollow Haunt in Texas.
What?
Yeah.
Formal wear.
I think they need you to be able to run away from the actors there.
Okay,
that's why.
fair.
But you can wear them into
Because if
Balmoral.
they catch you, they can do whatever they want.
Okay, I wasn't going to say,
mean it
but
like a weird-
they did say they have a touching policy there, and you have to pay extra to not be touched in the Creepy Hollow Haunted.
I went
to pay to not be touched.
recently.
I mean, that's the question you should have asked. Which place has a policy to not be touched?
And again, we're going to go to where that would be with Balmoral.
Look, that's gold.
Which place has a statue of a dead man on a plinth that can be rotated so his gaze follows you around the room?
Definitely both.
It might well be both, but it's definitely Balmoral. So there's a
I'm
statue.
definitely going to this.
So there's a statue of Prince Albert, and Queen Victoria had to have it rotated as she went to bed so that he could follow her.
Well, they just
to
have
bed.
one person who's rotating it.
I think so. I think they had
Which bit of him follows you around the room?
the eyes.
Yeah.
The eyes.
But,
So they're just controlling the eyes. They're in the statue.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got royal story there.
Yeah.
But Mike, what have you bought for us this week?
Well, I've gone slightly different. It's a much smaller story, but quite a silly one. Obviously, it's the Edinburgh Festival coming up and everyone's getting ready for that. It's become very expensive for comedians to go up there. And one hotel in Scotland is offering one comedian the chance of free accommodation and free breakfasts in exchange for being what they call a breakfast jester, which is where you, as a comedian,
my lord, that
yes, you have to go around the breakfast room. I think it's twice a week and
Debase yourself.
banter the guests. So I've looked at the advert. And as part of it,
You've applied, right? You've applied.
This sort of
obviously.
detail would come up as quotes and stuff in the show. We
Yeah.
kind of
Absolutely.
drill right down into
And you just start doing a bit of a reveal. Are you a laugh-a-minute lady? A witty wise guy? A rib-tickling rebel? We're seeking a breakfast jester to put guests in stitches during breakfast throughout the Edinburgh Fringe.
genuinely hell. That's hell for everyone involved.
Yeah.
Jack, I think we've got a job for you.
No, that is honestly for the American tourists who will not have a fucking clue what's going on as this person goes round and tries to do jokes about breakfast. And then for the comic themselves, at least let them get to their show in Edinburgh before they die on their arse.
Well,
you know what I mean?
this is what attracted me to the story, because I always love when there's a double layer to it.
Yeah.
And there's the reveal that the hotel itself isn't even in Edinburgh.
Oh my God, no way. Shut up.
It's in Glasgow, 40 miles away.
That's it.
So
No.
That is mental.
So and they're justified by because you get free accommodation, free access to the breakfast buffet.
Oh, that's nice. So you can come up with your jokes and see, they've got hash browns in. Oh, that hash brown bit's going to
Yeah, exactly. I say this to someone who's half Scottish, born in Scotland, has a lot of Scottish family. An English comedian to a hotel in Glasgow to tell jokes while they're trying to eat their square sausage. Basically a death sentence. But yeah, they've said as part of the application, you have to provide a breakfast joke. Obviously, it's going to be hard to do that when an angry Glaswegian man is strangling the life out of you over some scrambled eggs.
That is fun. That would be funny, though. Every single breakfast I saw a kind of Homer Simpson Bart style strangulation.
Yeah.
As long as the guy's fine. If I was in Edinburgh, I'd sort of think it's a show. In Glasgow, no one's got an idea what's going on.
Does anyone have any egg jokes or other breakfast items?
Why don't French people overeat at breakfast? Because one egg is always enough.
Very good.
So should we go to the next story? Queenie, what story have you gone with?
My story that I chose was about Truss's biography, which has come back into the news cycle because it was in the charts for a few weeks. but dropped out a week after, while Caroline Lucas's book, Another England, which was published at the same time, lingered in the top 10 for 3 weeks. The Times then wrote, "Poor Truss, first beaten by a lettuce, then by the Greens." When I was doing some research for this, I did go immediately to the Amazon reviews for 10 Years to Save the West.
Yeah.
There are some good ones. The feeling would be you go straight for the 1 star because they're going to be quite damning and funny. 3 stars. It's people who haven't made up their mind.
Yeah, nice.
How can you not have made up your mind about Truss yet?
Sit on the fence. That's nice.
1 3-star I really liked from Susan. She makes some good points. Full stop. In brackets, I read half of it.
Interesting.
From Ashley, 1 star. This book is breathtakingly delusional. Liz holds fast to a wrecking ball approach even Miley Cyrus would be wary of.
See, you can mention Miley Cyrus and Ian Paul would have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So instantly that gets the pop culture thing of we can't include a Miley Cyrus.
I thought
quote.
Paul would explain it to Ian.
Yeah.
Have you read the book?
It is time I will never get back. But yes, I have.
Have you?
Yeah.
10 Years to
I
Save the
bought
West.
it. I also read Starmer's biography.
Wow.
It was
But that
mostly
is,
him.
these are both for work purposes, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
not for pleasure.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
I got zero pleasure from
Well,
that.
the Starmer one definitely for work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The Trust
yes.
one
Trust is
happens
just light
to overlap
reading.
with your reading.
Yeah.
You know what was on your reading list.
I feel like I should have reviewed it. I think I'd have some. I don't know. Anyway, people who
I
take
don't
time
think
to
your
write
rev-
this down.
Your review wouldn't be allowed on Amazon.
No.
You wouldn't get past the
Thanks for that, Queenie. If you could stop talking about trust now. You're a
For
trust
1
lover.
second.
But finally,
Trust.
my story was, I think it's a technology story, technically. The New York mayor unveiled their very special way of how they're going to look after rubbish, which is with wheelie bins. So he unveiled
This
the
was
wheelie
this
bin.
year.
This was literally this week, where, to the sounds of Jay-Z's Empire State of Mind. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Which he does all the time, does it at his press conference, which I kind of rate. I like that. It's like Sadiq Khan having London Calling every single time he comes on stage. And he brought out his wheelie bin, stuck a bag in it and said, "Welcome to the trash revolution," which is very fun. excellent video to play in. And I sort of think, is he doing it sort of tongue in cheek? And he's quite serious about it.
I've seen it, and
Yeah.
it's like Elon Musk launching like one of his cars. Elon Musk meets Tony Stark. Like, I'm a genius, guys. We've revolutionised this. We've finally done it. You don't have to drop your rubbish bags on the street anymore. We have this thing called a wheelie bin. He doesn't call it a wheelie bin. He calls it something like.
So it's what I love about it. And this is kind of, I think, why it might be a good round 2 story. Because he can drill down into a few more details. So the reason he's talking about it is because he hates rats. And he is basically taking it upon himself to be like, I'm the mayor of New York. The big thing I've got to solve, rats. So he's brought
Out of all of the things.
Seriously. He's brought in a rat star. So former school teacher, big up, is...
I was going to say it's you.
Yeah,
You're the rats are.
Because I used to be a teacher. Otherwise, I've just got an appreciation for teachers. And then also you've got in September in New York, the first ever National Urban Rats Summit, which...
The rats
For
get
the
to
rats.
speak.
Is it for rats? And in the copy for the event, it says, bringing together rat experts to advance the science of urban rat management, which I'm assuming is just more traps, right? That's the...
Hey, no. He's got this. They've invented this new thing in New York
Yeah.
to deal with the rats.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for whatever this joke is.
It's a broomstick.
But the little detail I quite liked about it as well, and sort of feels very have I got news for you, is the fact that the way they came up with this solution is they asked McKinsey, who are like a consultancy firm, and they paid them $4 million to come up with a solution for the rats. And their $4 million basically was get some bins, right? Because New York just don't have bins, which kind of blew my mind anyway. But my favourite thing about the McKinsey report they brought out, it's like 90 pages, it's so long, is that they call it containerization, which is so American and so consultancy based that I can kind of see that being a quote that we'd bring up.
That
The
works
idea.
with me. Suddenly I'm on board.
Yeah.
Containerization.
It
Sounds cool.
Newfangled.
When he was trying to sell them basically at this press conference, he said they're affordable, they're durable, and obviously most importantly, attractive.
Do you know what? I'm invested because I'm hoping, if they can solve this problem, we bring it over here. Don't need Larry the Cat anymore.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Okay, I'll take it
Full
back.
circle.
Wipe it from your mind. We need Larry the Cat to go to the 7th Prime Minister. So ideally, after 100 days, Keir Starmer's going to go and Angela Rayner's going to come in.
When they up the taxes, he goes to shit and they get voted out and Nigel Farage comes in.
All right, so we've heard them all. Round 2 stories. So which news item was everyone's favourite?
Straight away, I reckon mine would be covered in round 1. Mine was just a shameless attempt to talk more about some stupid Tory stuff.
I was won over by the bins.
Me too, yeah.
I'm very intrigued by the bins.
And I think if I'm honest, Edinburgh, I personally feel Edinburgh you could stick into missing words or it could be in an odd one out.
True.
Whereas I think Royals, for me, it's got everything you want from a round 2.
I was also won over by the game.
I guess I win.
You get the points. There you go. Our completely nonsensical point scoring, which we won't get into now because it's way too complicated.
Much like the show.
Yeah. So thank you for listening to this very special first episode of In the News This Week.
For updates on the show, make sure you're following Have I Got News For You on Instagram, TikTok and Twitter. I'm not calling it X.
Yeah.
You can also get in touch with us there using the hashtag HigginAFeePod or emailing podcast@hattrick.com. That's hattrick with 2 T's.
And if you've got any burning questions about the TV show and how it's made or behind the scenes, then we'd love to hear from you. So get in touch.
Make sure you're followed or subscribed to the podcast wherever you're listening to it now. And we'll see you here for next week's episode. Bye.
Bye-bye.
You can all say bye now. That's it.
Your bye was so weird.
I liked it. I think we should all do that at the same time.
It's like the Balmoral of byes.
In the News This Week is presented by Jack Harris, Queenie Miller, Emerald Paston and Mike Rayment. The producer is Diggory Waite. The engineer is John Wakefield. The executive producer is Claire Broughton. And the music is by Big George. In the News This Week is a Hat Trick podcast.
People often ask me what my regular London pub is, but that assumes there's a pub I can easily return to, so please stop asking that.
London Pub Reviews, written by Paul Ewan and featuring Tim Key. A Hat Trick podcast.
Did you save my seat? Why? I'm at a completely different pub now, with different seats. Catch up.
Available now, wherever you get your podcasts.